watching CramerSez.
Well, let's see if we can do this. I went to start and everything happened. So, sorry, I was doing something else when that was going on. I should have been listening to the cue in. Hey, welcome to the CramerSez Show. It is Tuesday, August 6th, and we've got 91 days until November 5th. Have you been counting? 91 days until we learn our fate. 91 days until we find out who's going to be the next leader of this nation next year. Now, Jamie Raskin says that if it's Donald Trump, if the people choose Donald Trump on November 5th, that on January 6th, Democrats are going to hold an insurrection and tell the American people that Trump cannot be our president because he's not qualified. They're going to do to President Trump exactly what they just did to Biden. They're picking and choosing. One group of people, one party, picking and choosing who's going to be our president. Disgusting. And they don't have a problem with it. They think it's all right. They're giving it the classification of, hey, we're saving democracy. We're going to save democracy against the dictator. The guy that wants to lower your taxes and doesn't want the WHO telling you what you have to do, that guy right there is a problem. That's what they've been telling you. That's their message. In fact, if you listen to this asshat, Tim Walz, and what he has to say, and what Kamala had to say today at their big sorry to Josh Shapiro in Pennsylvania that we're not going to allow you to be our VP because you're too Jewish for us. That's what happened. Josh Shapiro had too much baggage. When you hear about the leftist, when you hear about the Democrats talking about why Josh Shapiro was not picked, they'll use code, dog whistles, baggage, which means he was too Jewish, because they're supporting Hamas. They've taken the side of Hamas against our ally. Democrats have decided that Hamas is more important. Oh, they're killing everybody over there. There was an attack on October 7th, I remember, and they're still shelling Israel. Hezbollah shelled again today. But they won't talk about what they're going to do for you. They're going to talk about how bad Trump is going to be and how many world wars we'll be in, and he's a dictator and he's going to take your rights. That's exactly what they've got planned for you. Let's get into let's get into some of the news that's going on around today. Let's go to the first story here. Tim Walz is, of course, the new VP pick for Kamala Harris. Tim Walz is a progressive Democrat. He's a socialist. He says that being neighborly is the same thing as being a socialist. If you have neighborliness in your heart, then you're also a socialist. What he said was that, well, what some people consider I had a brain fart there. What some people consider socialism is actually being a neighbor, being neighborly, neighborliness. That's what Tim Walz says. Tim Walz says that socialism hasn't been done right. They're going to do it right. And generally in the general election, you can be as crazy as you want in the primary because that's your people you're talking to. But in the fall, you got to talk to the other side as well, and you got to convince some of them to vote for you. And generally in the fall election, in the general election, politicians, they leave some of their crazy behind and they come back to the center. Kamala Harris decided to go the other direction. Not towards more freedom and more liberty, but more progressivism. Tim Walz was one of the strictest COVID-19 governors, locked everything down, except for the riots and protest. When the riots and protest happened, what did Tim Walz do? Tim Walz let him do it. Didn't have any problem with it. And what's the kicker? Kamala Harris came right up behind him and offered to pay bail for anybody that he did have to prosecute, because what they'd done was too bad. This is the two-tier system that we live in today, folks. If you protest, you're a threat to the nation. If they protest, it's because they're oppressed, and they have the right to do that. But when the government is the one telling you who is and who isn't oppressed, we're all oppressed. The government can't pick and choose on who they're oppressing. They can't do it. President Trump made a weird suggestion. He thinks that Cam is out and that Joe is going to be reinstalled at the DNC convention. Now think about that. I still don't think that Cammie has what it takes to make it. And I think that Democrats are realizing that. So Will they have a surprise at the DNC? Well, time will only tell. And the only way to know for sure is to stick around for November 5th, because it's going to get exciting between now and then. Actor Ben Stiller says he wishes he was black. Why? What is the issue with these people? Leftists, liberals, Democrats, Marxist, socialists, not being able to accept who they are. Ben Stiller says he wishes he was black. I don't want to be black. I don't want to be Asian. I already know who I am. I don't have to learn everything over. You see, white and black just isn't a color. It's also a culture. Being Asian, different culture. Hispanic, different culture. So it's not just changing your color and everything else remains the same. That's what our black American friends have been telling us for years. That's what they've been saying for years. What you've got to wrap your head around, folks, is that the narrative right now is to direct anything away from Kamala's performance, Kamala's track record, what she did as a DA, all of that. Everything's to focus on Trump and anti-Trump. And so any issue that can come up, Ben Stiller saying, I wish I was black. I'm talking about it. I'm not talking about Kamala's track record. But these are the distractions that we see on a regular basis. Ben Stiller decided that he wants to help out Kamala, and he's telling you, in the way that he says what he said in the statement that he made, that half of his audience he no longer cares about. That's what I don't think these Taylor Swifts, Madonna, these actors that come out, Ron Perlman that come out and they want to make their statement and they don't realize, like I did, that when you speak truth to power, there's a price to pay. When you speak your truth, whatever that is, there's a price to pay. I've said it, a lot of times, is that freedom of speech is great until someone calls Granny a cunt at the family reunion. That's the same kind of thing that we're in here. Everybody wants free speech. Everybody wants to be able to say what they want to say until the real things are being said. And what happens is Democrats, well, when they feel that they're in power and they have nothing to lose, it's like being the bully on the playground, right? They feel free to say and do anything they want because they're in power. Who's going to hold them to account? There's two tiers right now going on, not only in our nation, but in Great Britain as well. We'll get to that here in just a moment. Next story is Jim Cramer of MSNBC made a very bold statement today that if you want to keep your paycheck, if you want to be able to keep a hold of what you've got right now, if you want to be able to pay the mortgage, you better vote for Trump. Why are they saying this? Well, they know why. The reason they're saying this, folks, is very simple. Those who know realize where we are, and regardless of what their political ideology may be, which avenue or which road that they take when they go vote, regardless of that, they realize the difference between a capitalistic president and a socialist president. Folks, they can't pay for what they want to pay for without you paying more taxes. I'm going to say that again. They can't do what they want unless you get to do less with your money. They've made it very clear what the plan in this country is. And it doesn't include you and I doing what we want to do and living our best lives. It has to do with us towing the line and doing whatever they tell us to do. When we come back, we'll find out what Van Jones said that's getting so many people upset.
You're watching the CramerSez Project.
Global news with local views.
From the halls of Congress
Across the nation.
and around the globe.
You're getting the latest news and conservative views.
You're watching the CramerSez Project.
Global news with local views.
CramerSez returns after this message from our partners. Learn how you can save up to 70% on your healthcare costs with just one click. Visit CramerSez.com/impact for complete details. That's CramerSez.com/impact.
What is Impact Health Sharing?
Impact Health Sharing isn't insurance.
It's a modern, affordable alternative to traditional health insurance, offering significant cost savings.
Most members save 30 to 50% on healthcare costs. With Impact Health Sharing, you enjoy the freedom to choose any doctor without in-network restrictions.
With an easy, hassle-free enrollment process.
Plus, access telemedicine 24/7 with $0 provider fees.
Call 844-827-2637 to learn how you can save 30, 40, even up to 50% on your healthcare costs.
The CramerSez Project is back.
With global news and local views.
You're watching the CramerSez Project.
You're watching CramerSez.
Van Jones is a regular on CNN. He's one of their major contributors, and he said the quiet part out loud today. He told America why Democrats didn't pick Josh Shapiro, the governor of Pennsylvania. Now, I've seen a bunch of social media influencers. One, this My Dude or whatever his name is on TikTok, he said that Shapiro had some baggage. And then I started hearing the exact same thing everywhere. Everywhere saying this, everybody's saying the same thing. Well, Shapiro had some baggage. He had a sexual assault case in his office that one of his people were, accused of sexual. That has nothing to do with Josh Shapiro. Someone else being accused of something, even if it's in your office, has nothing to do with you unless you were there doing it yourself. That's a red herring. It's an excuse. And it doesn't make sense. So, Van Jones today did what most Democrats don't do. He said the quiet part out loud.
The conservatives, the right wing, the Republicans, they were chewing their fingernails down to the knuckle because they were afraid of a Josh Shapiro. They were afraid of a Mark Kelly. They're not as afraid of this new governor because they think they can define him. So here's the challenge you've got in this party. People don't want to talk about it. We got to talk about it. On the one hand, you have a lot of young people who are concerned about Gaza. You have a lot of Muslims and Arabs and others. They have not felt seen by the Biden administration. You start hearing that genocide joke. That was building. And so those folks needed to have a candidate that they could feel comfortable with. This helps them in that regard. But you also have anti-Semitism that has gotten marbled into this party. You can be for the Palestinians without being an anti-Jewish bigot, but there are some anti-Jewish bigots out there. And there's some disquiet now, and there has to be. How much of what just happened is caving into some of these darker parts in the party?
What he's saying there is they've got racist. They've got anti-Semites inside the ranks of the Democrat Party. They're saying it out loud. We've known it for a long time. The fact that the Democrat Party so quickly abandoned Israel after they were attacked and said that they were the aggressors, and they've marched in the streets, they've burned, they've looted, they've rioted, they've been so vitriolic in their approach in this that it's hard to understand from the outside what is motivating them to do what they're doing. When they're saying to their Jewish base, fuck you, we couldn't give two shits about you. And what it's amazing, it's because, again, like the black community, they think they own it. They think they can treat these people any way that they want because where else have they got to go? We can say and do anything we want to you. Where are you going to go? That's the mentality of the Democrat Party with the black community, with the Hispanic community, with the Jewish community, with the Asian community. They go and pander just enough, pamper just enough, give them just enough to keep them on the dole. But the majority of the black community is awake. They realize what's going on. And the Jewish community needs to do the exact same thing and realize with the Democrat Party how they're playing you. You have a choice. You don't have to put up with it. Let's get into this next piece. If you've been hearing about the brouhaha that's going on in Great Britain and the riots that are happening there. By the way, the world is on fire. France has got issues. Venezuela's got issues. We've got war in Ukraine. We've got war in the Middle East. We've got South Africa is devolving. France is devolving. And Great Britain, well, they're having their problems as well. And this is all about that. We'll be right back after this.
Well, baby Watson chose a nice quiet week to be born, didn't he? After a 17-year-old of Rwandan migrant heritage. No, sorry, a Welshman born in Cardiff launched a savage knife attack that left 3 girls dead in Southport. Absolute unbridled chaos unfolded across England.
That's going to go in a minute, mate. All these cows are gone. Every one of these.
In towns and cities across the nation, angry anti-mass migration demonstrators fought running battles with police, set fire to buildings and engaged in violent confrontations with left-wing and Muslim counter-demonstrators.
Oh shit, man, they're in. They're in. Oh, wow.
In Stoke, mobs of diverse chaps rampaged through the streets looking for revenge. Similar scenes in Bolton where armed gangs chanted Allah Akbar. Before targeting lone individuals. Others physically attacked lone white people in Middlesbrough. In Leeds, people wearing Union Jacks were set upon. But strangely, the media barely included any of this in their reporting. And in some cases, the reporters deleted the videos entirely. Sky News condemned an attack on a taxi, while conveniently failing to mention the tooled-up mob right behind them carrying machetes and blunt weapons.
And look very pleased about it whilst they did it. Then there was this, as I say, clash between protesters and the police, and that is when they then ran off across the park here. A big group ran off looking for trouble, it looked like to us. So we're just going to step away now from this group behind us. But
the two-tier system of policing, one of the very things that fueled the riots, was also on full display. Police telling Muslim counter-protesters to politely leave their weapons at the mosque, while offering reassuring words that they were there to protect them.
Yeah, we understand. Yeah, that's fine.
I just need you to understand we're not against you guys. We're
no.
We're here to help and protect you.
We all understand. We all understand.
When asked about two-tier policing, police chiefs weren't too keen on discussing it.
Are we going to end two-tier policing, sir?
And I just want to show you that again. That question from that reporter about two-tier policing. You'll see the Met Police Commissioner grabs the grey implement. That's the microphone. Here it is.
And amidst all the chaos, we're forced to endure the same political class and media that tacitly endorsed and lionised the 2020 BLM riots, denounced the 2024 anti-mass migration riots as nothing more than far-right extremism.
This is not protest. It is organised, violent thuggery.
The same Prime Minister who literally took a knee in response to BLM riots, along with numerous Metropolitan Police officers in London who did the same, now inform us that somehow this is totally different.
Be in no doubt,
I was shocked.
Those that have participated in this
the killing
violence
of George Floyd
will